Alex, I'm so incredibly happy to be talking to you again.
I love seeing you too, man. You know what? It's great to see you. I was camping last weekend, so I didn't watch anything, so
Yeah, well, okay, so I will give you just as kind of part of what you missed. I wore this shirt for a purpose. I am a Tennessee fan, but the mountains that you can see on the shirt is how I'm feeling right now because I feel sky high after the last card. And we'll talk about it plenty. Believe me, Alex, we'll be hearing about it for the next few months. But we've got some other stuff. I'm gonna let you warm up into what's coming at you. So we do have one piece of news, before, and then we'll talk about the tough season and the recaps and what's coming up. But the one thing is not even really MMA. The only reason I thought to record it is because Mike Perry is now involved. Um, Everybody's favorite Mike Perry. Can't even say with a straight face.
yeah, yeah. He's
So
uh he's
yeah,
involved with the what this Logan Paul, Dillon Danis debacle, right?
yeah. So he is the backup fighter for Danis in case Danis doesn't make it. The real reason this is on here is honestly, it has nothing to do with the fighting because I don't know how much you've caught up on Twitter since you were out in the wilderness living on sticks and bugs, but um Danis for the last probably every hour for the past week has been posting a different picture of Logan Paul's fiance with another man, like other just random men. I think it's up to like 80 something. There's a dude that does counts in Danis's comments. I think it's up to like 80 something dudes. Um, I don't know how Logan Paul is okay to be in public right now.
That shit is so foul, dude. Like, and I am not a Danis guy
I
at
hate
all,
him. I
but
I still actively want Logan to win, but Danis has far surpassed the mark for what I assume to be the high point of the build for this fight.
you cannot you can't come back from that. And the fact that is able to find a new one or a new couple
Yeah.
each day is just like, oh God, you gotta feel for Logan Paul because he's just getting cooked.
Which, yeah, like, listen, I don't know if he and his fiance have talked about it. If they have, there's nothing wrong with it. Do your thing. If you're cool with it, if she's cool with it, whatever. But he hasn't talked about it to the masses. And Dylan Danis is like, hey, you guys want to know what his fiance has been up to for the last however long? Boom, Leonardo DiCaprio. Boom, guys you've never met before. Like it's, dude, it is the highlight of my month just because of how absurd it is. Actually, no, it's not even the highlight of this episode for me. I take that back, but it is just so incredible. I want to know who's getting these pictures for him.
Yeah, the worst one to me was the 40th birthday one. I'm sure you
Oh
saw that.
yeah, yep.
That one is yikes.
um,
Every time I see a new one, I am appalled, truly.
you want to know what I think is probably the best part of this, and then we can move on because we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on this. Their fight is still in like 2 months. No one will know that this fight is occurring until they step into the ring because they have done way too much promotion and too much hype way too early. They've already done press conferences. Like, you will not remember this card's happening whenever it happens. And that's
I
insane.
mean, yeah, because Danis isn't going to show up.
Yes, but even
Never
Logan Paul,
does.
Mike Perry, I would watch. I would rather watch Mike Perry, Logan Paul than I would Danis, Logan Paul, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. But like, you got to get the presser with Dylan in early before he
Inevitably,
magically gets injured
before
and has
Connor
to pull
needs
out of
him
the fight.
to paint his toenails or something.
Yeah.
Did you see Darren? Last point. Did you see Darren Till hopped into all this?
Yeah, I saw that Darren Till wants to fight Mike Perry too now, and
I'd watch it.
I'm here
BKFC.
for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm here
it would
for it.
have to be BKFC. But yeah, we'll move on from this. This is not our realm. It was just worth bringing up because of how absurd it is, and if you haven't heard about it, you needed to. All right, so tough. It is officially over.
Yeah.
The winners, we were 0 for 2 on both sides. Um, Overall, I wouldn't qualify it as one of the worst seasons, but it is one of the least satisfying seasons of Tough in the history of the show.
Absolutely. Well, because one coach isn't there half the time, and a lot of the fighters had fought on Tough before, had fought in the UFC before. I feel like the point of Tough is for the majority of the people on the show to be kind of up and comers looking to finally break into that top echelon of fighting promotions. And obviously with UFC vets, you're going to get probably higher quality fights, but at this point, especially with the guys who are in their mid 30s, like none of those guys are really going to have a second win to the point where they'll be fighting for titles anytime soon. Like you look at some of these past Tough winners, and they've gone on to do great things, become champions in the sport, and I think there aren't as what's the word I'm looking for?
There's
There
not
there
very
aren't
many
as,
impact players from this season.
yes, yeah.
Which funny enough, I did write down the three people I think will have the most long-term possible impact on the company. None of them made it out of the first round. I think Mando, Trevor Wells, and Landon Quinones have the best chance to actually do something in the company. I don't Roosevelt Roberts, I like him short term, but I don't know what he's going to look like in the UFC. I don't really have much faith in Hollabaugh, as cool as the story is. Katona, somehow being a two-time Tough winner, I still think I'll forget that he won this season in like a year and a half.
Yeah. I think Katona is young enough where like I think he'll be able to like he could be a ranked fighter maybe.
Eh,
Possibly.
I mean,
Hollabaugh just like it is cool. He came so close to losing though early on that I just don't have a lot of confidence that his second UFC run is going to be anything special. I saw that Quinones is scheduled to fight on a UFC card like in a couple months, or I saw that on Twitter today,
yeah.
which is, I mean,
Well, so with
yeah,
this show wrapping up is because I mean the show wrapped up a while ago. You know,
yeah,
they stopped shooting what a couple 2-3 months ago. So I'm sure he got back out on the scene and like got a couple more wins. And they're like, okay, well, you're easy to work with. We had you on our radar. Let's just go ahead and bring you in. Um, Trevor Wells,
yeah.
I thought he looked pretty solid. And then Mando, with how hyped up he was coming into the season, I would
He'll
think,
get a chance.
yeah, and he's young enough that he'll still develop. But I don't really know, just unless Timur gets a contract. Timur, I could see actually doing something, but I
And
don't.
the Timur Katona fight was so close. Like
Yeah,
he definitely would have won had he would have won the whole thing had he won that fight.
yeah. I think if you only give two contracts away on that side of things, I think Katona and Timur are the guarantees. But overall, I honestly I'm thankful that it's over because we're running out of steam on this season very fast. Um, and like I said, it was by no means must watch television.
Yeah, I lost interest very early on. I think I was pretty vocal about losing interest where it's
Yeah,
just
by like week 3, like it was, I think week 4, we switched to just doing bullet points, like 3 bullet points, so we could go quicker through the season. And that shows how little you were missing if you didn't see this season of Tough. Hopefully for the next one, they'll actually get some bought in coaches and not just have Mike Chandler dominating screen time.
coaching against himself.
Literally. And yeah, I literally, that's how I want this to end. I just want it to be an abrupt cutoff and Tough is gone now. You know,
Yeah, I think we'll get some better fighters, hopefully. I liked what they did with Pena and Nunes, like what they did with Volkan Ortega. This one just missed. And but for the most part, I think they usually bring in pretty good coaches for that.
yeah, and they'll get some guys that are actually bought in. That's just the important part. All right, before we hop into recaps, I do have a very small poem, as it were, that I would like to present to the class. Um, if you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. That's what Sean O'Malley came out to on Saturday. and subsequently put your boy Aljamain Sterling to bed. And I don't know that I've ever been happier on this podcast.
Hold up 1 second.
Yeah. What happened?
I don't know if I can show my face during this part.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was confused. I thought something was going wrong in the office. So for folks who may not have watched, it was a very close first round. Aljamain had struggles to take Sean down. And then in the second round, Sean caught him with a gorgeous right hand and then makes him kiss the mat. They called it a little early. I will say that. It was going to be finished, but they called it slightly early. Sean O'Malley becomes champion. And Alex, I want you to enlighten everybody how you learned of the finish of this fight.
Yeah, so I was rocking no service this weekend at the campground. Woke up on Sunday morning to a text message from Jackson. Hold on, I'm gonna read it. This is how I found out. I had no idea of the result of any fight that weekend, that card.
Yes.
And so the first text is, can't wait to record next week from Jackson. And that's how I found out. That's how I found out that Aljo lost. I don't have much to say for myself here. I'm not gonna lie. I dug myself a bit of a hole, you could say. I said some things, you know.
We can move on from the actual fight because I do want to talk about something that happened after that does have some serious implications. But before we move on, I would love a sincere apology for what you said to me last week in regards to this fight.
I apologize for my actions. Sometimes you speak before you think.
Yeah, okay, cut it off. You're fine. This is about to turn into a Bill Clinton thing. I don't need that.
Yeah. No, but before we actually get into after the fight, I did watch the finish. Listen, got to give credit to Sean O'Malley. Listen, and I like the guy. I said it last week when we were making our picks. It's good for the sport that he's champion. And he showed that he has stopping, like he can stop the best of the best. However, that first round was controlled by Aljo, and that's what I was hoping to happen for 5 rounds of the fight. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought Aljo maybe had more of a chin on him, but that's how it goes, man. All it takes is one shot, and Sean O'Malley is a real dude. Like I'm upset at myself for picking Aljo as confidently as I did, and that, you know, that obviously has come back to bite me. But
a little bit.
It's yeah, just a little bit. But in terms of the impact on the bantamweight division for the sport, this is only good for everyone involved.
Yeah, well, and 3 guys have now put their name into the hat in the span of 4 days since he won the belt. 5 days, actually, no, more than that. Because we also have somebody that kind of wants to come up and do 2 belts. So to immediately recap, Sean issued the challenge to Cheeto Vera. We'll talk about Cheeto before long.
Hate it.
I also hate it. I think it's the best money, but it's the least interesting fight.
How are you about to give Cheeto a title shot over Corey Sandhagen? Like, that's not, you can't justify that money at all.
They're more worried about dollars than they are making sense. So I understand it. Then you have Aljo, who said he's probably going to stick around the weight class for a minute because he doesn't want to go up and face Volk because Volk would turn him into a pile of sand in the octagon, which subsequently cuts off Merab, who realistically should be the next title shot. But Merab says if they don't give it to Aljo, they should give it to him. And then you have Alexandre Pantoja, who is kind of beefing with Sean, saying that he might come up and double belt this. So,
you forgot Cejudo, who's always in the mix too.
Oh yeah, Cejudo. So what is that now? Five
Yeah.
different guys being like, "Hey, my turn, my turn." But I think that's a really good sign of how much of a draw Sean is.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of sort through this mess of contenders that we have, Pantoja won his belt on a split decision, no
Yep.
defenses. I think clearly that fight should be run back.
Yep.
Pantoja, I'm out on. Aljo, yeah, you lost, but you were saying for years, I guess not years, months, that this would, regardless of result, be your last fight of bantamweight. Listen, if you choose to stick around, great. If that's what you want, go for it. But your friend Merab has been waiting in the wings for your title reign to end one way or another, and it's simply his time to get the crack at the belt. I think Merab clearly the number one contender. Cheeto, I hate it on so many different levels. I think one, Sean wipes him. Two, just deserving of the title. He's not deserving of the title shot ahead of Corey Sandhagen.
We've listed 5 people. I don't think he would. He's not even in the top 5 of most deserving.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
I mean, you give that to Sandy before you'd give it to Cheeto, and then you'd give it to Piotr before you'd give it to Cheeto as well.
I don't know about that. That one. That one's a little iffy. Piotr's got to win a fight before he can get back into the title conversation.
They gave TJ a belt fight and he didn't win.
All right.
There it is.
I mean, that's a little different, but
no, I see what you're like. It should be Merab, but
yeah,
the real question is, can you blame the UFC for not giving Merab a belt shot right now? I can't.
I think it's very cut and dry. I think it's Merab. I think you have Sandhagen fight Cejudo for the next one after Merab. Aljo fits in somewhere in this equation if he decides to stay down. But like, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me that he was repeatedly saying that he's going up to 145. He loses the belt and then is like, oh, never mind, I'm staying here.
I don't see a world where Dana lets Merab ruin the money-making machine that could be Sean as champion this early. I don't see that.
But reasonably, like, any one of these guys could.
Cheeto couldn't.
Cheeto couldn't. Cheeto couldn't.
Yeah, Aljo could. Cejudo could. Merab could.
Sandhagen could.
I don't think. I mean, he could, but not nearly to the same extent as those other 3. Just because, I mean, it is that length, but Sean is just so fluid and quick. Like, Sandy does not have that kind of speed and that kind of like laser accuracy. Like, I know he's very good, but he is not what Sean is.
Yeah, but he's a mirror image of Sean physically, which we haven't seen him go up against yet.
Honestly, I think that'd be not an easier fight, but it wouldn't be all that much harder than we would like to believe it is. The more I thought, because I did think about that. After that fight, I was like, okay, well, let's look at the people that he could potentially face. And the more I thought about it, I was like, they are very similar size-wise, but Sean's style, I don't know that it really matters how big somebody is.
Oh, Sean is way more dynamic of a striker, but especially after Corey's last fight, where he wrestles the whole time with a torn tricep or whatever it was, like that still is going to present problems. Do I think Corey would win? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I would pick Corey to win. I don't know if I'd. It's so interesting right now with Sean as champ because like there's still holes in his game that I think that everyone can see, but also the way he makes up for it with the big moments just makes it such a wild card. Like I don't know who in the top 5 I would pick Sean to beat, but I don't know who I would pick to beat Sean either. It's so tough.
Just gut reaction. I'm going to say names. You tell me who you would pick if they fought Sean O'Malley today. Don't
Okay.
think about it. Just say a name. Aljamain
Okay.
Sterling,
Still yes. I'm not gonna lie.
Henry Cejudo,
No,
Cheeto Vera,
absolutely not.
Merab Dvalishvili,
Yes.
Corey Sandhagen.
No.
Okay. So the heavy mat guys.
Yes. And I might be a complete moron for doubling down on something that made me look so foolish last week, but it's I always gravitate towards the high level grapplers regardless because that's the hardest thing to learn and that's the hardest thing to defend.
Yeah. I mean, it has two ways of going. Either it's Leon and Marty, or it's not. It's either Sean looks that much better because he was in the cage with Aljo, or he isn't all that more evolved, and Aljo gets that upper hand from it, and somehow, some way, finds a method to get him out of there. But I will say this amount of discourse around the belt and around the champ and around everything that's going on with it is exactly why Sean O'Malley needed to be champ, because we don't have these conversations with Aljamain.
Yeah, no, and also I want to bring this up again. I know he did after his last fight, but all of a sudden people saying that Aljo is the greatest bantamweight of all time.
He's not.
Stop it. Stop it.
He,
Seriously.
he's just not. Dominic Cruz is a fair
His
bit
first
higher.
defense doesn't count as a defense. The guy won the belt off a disqualification. His
Yeah.
first defense, in the eyes of everyone, should universally be recognized as him winning the belt. And even with the number of defenses that he has, you have some split decisions. And then how many times did he defend the belt? TJ was injured. Um,
You have
the,
technically
the,
three defenses, but if you're not qualifying the first Jan fight, it's two. And if you factor in the fact that TJ was hurt, it's like 1.5. So you have one quality win versus Henry,
yeah,
which is a very quality win, mind you.
no, extremely quality win. Like
But how do
I
you get it
just
to how are you going to call him the greatest with guys like Dom Cruz?
insane, dude. No one has done what Dom Cruz has done in that division. Like, not even close. Aljo would have had to defend the belt 3 more times for me to even be like, okay, I can see it. I can see it.
I could have taken two more quality wins. That's all I like. I hate that somebody that is in the GOAT conversation, their most notable finish or most notable moment that was not marred by controversy like the knee was what he did to Corey Sandhagen before he was ever even a champion.
Yeah.
Like literally just running at Corey and backpacking him and submitting him. That is the most memorable thing of Aljamain Sterling that is not marred by controversy. You are not the greatest of all time. He is very, very good. He had some weird circumstances around a few of his belt fights, but he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt in that situation because champions are supposed to rise above that kind of stuff. And Aljamain didn't.
Yeah. Though I'm trying to think of like a good enough comparison. Heavyweight, it's super like that one is really up for debate. I want to say welterweight is probably the closest when you think about the run that Usman had.
Yeah.
Versus it's like calling Usman the greatest welterweight of all time over GSP.
Which people got pretty frisky with that too.
I that's what I'm saying, and like I fully disagree with that. That's another one where it was like Kamara would have had to defend his title 2 or 3 more times before it's a real conversation for me that he's better than GSP, that
Yeah.
he's greater than GSP.
What I would compare this to is like Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. It's like one of them has very distinct, clear, mind-bending accolades across a 20-something odd year career and stood atop their respective league and their respective sport for longer than I've been alive. The other is supremely talented. He absolutely could or could have, in Aljamain's case, become that all incredible human and all incredible player that everybody looks at as like, that was the best person we've ever seen on this field. But he hasn't yet. And Aljamain, there is no really coming back from this because he can't stay at Bantam forever. He's not, even if he beats Sean, he'll probably just cough the bell back up. So I I think that Aljo's GOAT case in Bantam has a nail in the coffin. I think it's over.
Yeah. And listen, I have no issue with saying he's the second greatest. That one I think is a lot more up for debate though, because there are a lot of good bantamweight champions out there.
Yeah. TJ.
But God, disrespecting Dominic Cruz's name like that, especially the commentators. I think I was hearing DC say Aljo was the greatest of all time. And it's like, dude, are you serious?
They should have had Dom on the table.
Yeah. Like
that would have been hilarious.
Respect on that man's name. God damn.
Imagine if it was John, or because I think you need DC there because DC was kind of the person perpetuating it the most.
Yes.
Anik said it like whenever he came out, he's like widely considered one of the greatest bantamweights of all time, which even that statement I'm okay with, one of. But DC, that was
that's
shameful.
crazy.
Yeah, it's shameful. And like we need to probably move on from it, but Aljo, it was never at Dom's level. He wasn't. And that's a fact that people should embrace.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this has to be just the recency bias because Dom's title reign was a lot, but a little bit of it was before like Conor McGregor existed. Yeah. I think his first title reign was pre McGregor, where so many people got put onto the sport, and his second one was a little shorter, but still kind of in the early stages of the UFC breaking into the mainstream. But
dude, the last image of Dom that they have was him losing to Cheeto Vera.
Yeah, him every time he got hit by Cheeto falling down. That's what people think of Dominic Cruz now.
Which is just not an accurate portrayal of him whatsoever. One of my favorite fighters of all time. But okay, we should probably kick it off. And I think that the next belt fight we can just Robot Whaley is here.
Yeah, the fact that bantamweight title fight got stopped and this one didn't, nuts.
Yes,
insane.
Yeah, it was full Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko levels of please, for the love of God, stop this fight.
Yeah, this was basically like this was like watching Amanda Nunes fight Juliana Pena for the second time.
Yeah, but it was whatever I want, I got.
Yeah. Whaley she is a badass. We knew she was a badass, but like how much better she's gotten since those since the Namajunas fights, just insane. She is so good.
Well, and you would assume that she's probably the next flag bearer for women's MMA because Tina probably doesn't have that much longer. Not that she's all that old, but like she's running out of things to do and Nunes is gone. So you would assume her, or maybe somebody we'll talk about a little bit later.
I can think of another somebody that could possibly challenge for the title next, but
would she also be somebody who's coming up?
She's happens to be undefeated and one of my Rising Stars draftees.
Oh, never mind. I thought you were talking about Crania Silva for some reason.
No, but also he could be her too. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Whaley is just different. She's different level.
She is a monster.
Okay. I don't think we have to spend all that much time on it. If you need any more proof of how crazy Whaley is, go watch that fight. But another pretty crazy happening from this card. Ian Gary not getting the finish.
Yeah.
And he
Neil
was
Neil
big
Magny's
game hunting.
yeah.
That the whole third round, or yeah, that whole final round, he should have had one.
Neil Magny is just a tough guy to put out though. Like, and that's when I was saying last week, like that was my biggest that was kind of one of the biggest things that I was looking for out of this card was you've seen fighters who have put Neil Magny out, who have finished him, kind of get even more of a hype train around them for a title potential. And it was still a great performance from Gary. And yes, he was big game hunting in that third round. But I think that's going to be one thing that kind of separates him from the Shavkats of the world, or the Gilbert Burns even.
Yeah.
Like I like I still like his potential, but when you put him up against some of these other big time welterweights, I think that Neil Magny fight's going to be a good measuring stick.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, like you mentioned, some of those other guys got Neil out, whereas Ian didn't. And I still think he's got a ways to go. I still think he's going to steadily climb. I heard Wonder Boy maybe, but Wonder Boy just got booked, right?
Did he?
He might not have. I might be tripping, but I'll look that up in a minute. The next fight, while I look that up, we'll just go ahead and move to the next fight because I don't know that that Ian Gary fight did a whole lot for either one of us. Cheeto potentially getting a belt fight off that. I know we just talked about it. It shouldn't happen.
Not big on that. And again, Munoz is another tough guy to put out. But if you're trying to fight for the title, if you're trying to jump the line, you got to do better than that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Okay. No. So, it they were talking about booking Ian versus Wonderboy. That was the rumblings. I can't remember what fight I'm thinking of. I think I probably sent it to you on Twitter, but there was somebody who Wonderboy could have been matched up with, got booked against somebody else, and it got all mushy. Um, yeah, the Cheeto fight. I mean, it looked decent, but I not belt fight decent.
yeah, and it's not like beating Munoz is a one-way ticket to a title shot. Like he's a good fighter, but in tier wise in that division, he's not in one or two.
No.
Cheeto is trying to work his way back into two right now.
Yes, and he's a pretty steady margin off right now after
Yeah.
what we saw against Sandhagen. So
Yeah.
I hopefully what I would like to happen is we get the Aljo Sugar rematch probably because I as much as I don't like it, I would like to see it booked again. And then we get like Cheeto Marab. And if by some grace of God Cheeto can put him out, give him a belt or give him a title shot or even decision win. But you need to weed it out quick because there's no need in feeding Sean Cheeto right now. There's not, other than for the fact to avenge his one loss.
Well, Cheeto was supposed to fight Cejudo, right? Originally,
Yeah,
or Saturday night.
I believe so. Right.
Let's just see that.
Okay.
Like Henry will definitively put Cheeto out of like this whole conversation. We don't have to have this as a possibility again. And it also I don't think unless it's like some crazy finish, I don't think that would put Cejudo next. So we get to see some of these other newer guys to the title picture, and Cejudo is maybe like third in line.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't
You
hate
know?
that either. Either way, we might need to do a matchmaker just centered around the bantamweight division, to be honest. But there's a lot of implications. And then the last one that we've got to talk about that we make predictions on, Carine Silva. It was just another smooth outing. You know what I mean? It was another day in paradise for Silva.
Dude, I love her. She is so fun. She is awesome. Like she's ranked now too, which is
Yep.
cool.
Very.
Oh, dude, I cannot like this is crazy. 17 finishes. 17 wins, 17 finishes. Those are identical to the aforementioned Shavkat Rakhmonov, who obviously both of us are extremely high on. And for that to be a female fighter,
The UFC needed a Karine
pack a
Silva right now.
lunchbox when you fight her. I'll say that.
Yeah, dude. They needed a Karine Silva to be here. And it's paying off right now. That's really all there is to it. You know what I mean? It's an investment that if they treat right is going to quadruple on how much
Yeah.
it should have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right,
He
let's
looks good.
let's
Well,
regroup.
we hold up.
Oh,
We skipped over the Weidman fight, but we don't need to
oh,
talk about that too much
yeah,
because it was a big snoozer.
yes,
Uh,
that was
yeah,
by design.
I don't know. I don't know what you do with Chris Weidman. The guy came back. He fought again after breaking his leg. You're a champion. You're a Hall of Famer. I think you just ride off into the sunset. I love his commentary,
Yeah.
and I, it's father time comes for everyone.
Yeah, just the fact that you got back in the octagon and came back from all that, that's enough. In my personal opinion, I don't think you're ever getting back to the belt. So just lay them down and go enjoy the fruits of your labor and what you just worked so hard to come back from.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy enough. Let's get to the predictions.
All right, so we'll get into our first match of Saturday. This one's in Singapore, so it's going to be an early one. Set an alarm if you're trying to watch these fights. I will be up at 6 in the morning to watch the main card.
Ugh.
And surprisingly, this one's kind of low on the main card, but it's two top contenders at flyweight, women's flyweight. Your first overall draft pick, Aaron Blanchfield versus Tyler Santos. This one's gonna the result of this is gonna be very telling for the future of women's MMA, I think.
Yeah, like you mentioned, it's a huge fight. It's a huge outing for Blanchfield and by proxy myself, because like you said, I picked her 1-1. Talia Santos is a problem. No denying that. She is a very, very good fighter. But Blanchfield needs to just smother her on the ground. I think that's possible. I don't love it, but I think it's possible.
This will
And
be her toughest test on the ground
oh, by
for
far.
sure.
I mean, comfortably. I I'm just going to continue to put stake and put faith into what we've seen on Aaron Blanchfield's ground game. And I'm not going to say it's by sub. I don't know that she'll get her out of there. But I do think she'll have that advantage. I wouldn't recommend being on the feet. Um, I don't love it. Honest. I mean, perfectly honest. I don't love it. I don't like that I'm having to question my 1-1. But if she is ever going to become a champion, she has to get through people like Taya Santos. That happens tonight. Whether she's ready for it or not, I don't know. But I do think she wins, kind of, sort of, not really, but I'm going with my girl.
Yeah, and I'll spoil it here. I'm gonna go with Blanchfield too. But like you said, this is one that I don't feel good about, and easily would not be shocked if Santos won this fight. She almost was the one to end Valentina's title reign.
It is
Some
discomforting that
suspect,
we both have Blanchfield. Like, that's
yeah,
where I'm at with this fight. It's like, I do not feel safe with that being the case.
yeah. Like Tyler Santos is a real problem, and her size. She is huge,
Yes.
huge.
Yep.
And that's gonna be really problematic, especially if she gets top position on Blanchfield too. Like this one will be a very high level grappling match. I imagine I'll be interested to see who gets the first takedown, but it's I'm going Blanchfield based solely off potential and how good she's looked in all of her UFC fights so far.
Part of me thinks that this might be a get knocked down to get back up, and be bigger. Um, for Blanchfield, I could absolutely see Talia Santos coming out on the win, like we keep saying. But I'm not going to go against her until she gives me a reason to, and she hasn't given us a reason to yet. She just hasn't. So with as much stock as I think the UFC is putting into her, that they feel comfortable putting her against Taya Santos right now is a great sign that even if she doesn't win this fight, unless it's by embarrassing fashion, she's still going to be in and around this kind of caliber of opponent for years to come.
Yeah, and it's kind of a win-win for the UFC also because like Blanchfield is still young and she's obviously very good. So even if she does lose this fight, there's a lot of room to grow for her. And if Santos wins this fight, then you have another because the women's divisions are really not super competitive at the top.
No.
So whoever you can get in the top 3 to 5 to make things interesting, like that's I think Tyler Santos winning does that for you. Gives you someone to be excited about for an extended period of time without necessarily having the belt.
Yeah, yeah, you can actually have those fights that mean something in the division that don't revolve around the gold. And exactly like you said, whenever you get these two fighters at that level and you start pushing it and promoting it like, hey, this is a big deal, which the UFC did not do for this card, um, or for this fight as a whole. I mean, this should have been co-main. Could have.
Yeah, the disrespect is ridiculous. They disrespect all the non-champs in women's MMA basically,
Well, and
except
light
for Holly
and
Holm. Holly
yeah,
Holm's getting main events left and right. Why
well,
can't
and
Tiana
very skinny
Suarez?
men. Skinny men also do not get.
Yeah, I was gonna say the men's flyweights get absolutely no love. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
fly and bantam to a lesser extent, but still an extent. Um, yeah, the big thing for this fight is that they drum up enough interest, no matter who the winner is, to promote the weight class and actually put it in spots where it is showcased. And it is not being that right now. It is a travesty that this is the first thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, okay, the next fight, we're skipping over. I don't even remember who we're skipping over.
Uh
Not Junior Tafa and Parker Porter, but the what was the other fight?
um
Here, hold on.
hold on.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna be able to think
It's
of it.
it's nothing exciting. I can guarantee you that.
Rinya Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia, or Garcia. Sorry, we are skipping over that, and we're moving straight to Giga Chikadze versus Alex Caceres. Which, to be perfectly honest, this feels like a harsh overreaction to Giga versus Calvin.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
maybe you're just trying to ease him in because he hasn't been in the octagon for over a year, but this this seems like a crazy lopsided situation to me.
well, didn't Giga lost again, right? After the Cater fight?
I don't think so.
I am pretty sure he did. Oh no, he didn't. He just hasn't fought since that fight. Wow.
Yeah. He just hasn't been in the octagon since what, January of last year.
Yeah. Um I love Alex Caceres. I think that's been pretty noted over the podcast that we've had. But Giga Chikadze is that guy's he's a real dude. I think the Cater fight was just a little fluke, but I like Giga Chikadze a lot, and I think he probably gets a finish here.
Yeah, I lean a little bit more into maybe decision. I don't love it just because I mean you have to think there is going to be a certain amount of rust that builds up from I mean just getting slapped around the octagon and then setting out for 18 months, 19 months, whatever we're at now. Um, but I do think he should absolutely outclass Caceres in this fight.
Yeah, which sucks because Caceres, like anytime you get Caceres in the octagon against comparable opponent, it's good.
Yeah,
It's fun.
it's
You'll
incredible.
you'll most likely see a finish. This one, I mean, like I said, I think we will see a finish, but I don't think it'll be a back and forth kind of battle that I would like to see. Um, I'm gonna go knockout on this one. I think Egan knocks him out.
That's safe. I went decision. Again, don't love it. Could absolutely be a KO, TKO situation, but um, either way, Giga, sorry, Chikadze is not in question for either one of us here.
Yeah.
Safe
Yep.
bet. If you're needing to win some money, Giga Chikadze is the guy to find. Um, the co-main does not intrigue me at all. I
Yeah.
am deeply detached from this fight.
Yeah, these are two guys who are like so far along in their careers that they're never like there's no path to ascension for Anthony Smith or Ryan Spann anymore.
I think Ryan might still have a little bit, not like title fight by any means, but like better than where he's at. Anthony Smith, though, I can't pick him. I can't pick him in good faith after watching the Johnny Walker fight. He looked broken. Like he did not look like Lionheart. He was talking to himself, like trying to motivate himself to be able to fight back against Johnny Walker, but he couldn't. Um, this fight happened 2 years ago. I know Anthony won, but Anthony is not even close to who he was 2 years ago.
Well, the thing is, like, I think Smith's leg like compromised in the Walker fight. Like he had
It was
some
compromised
mobility
from
issues.
Johnny, wasn't it?
Well, I know he was compromised from Johnny, but I think his leg kind of got eaten up. And so once that happens, excuse me, you're not you're not like you're not the same fighter. I
No.
think he'll probably do a better job of protecting his legs. And this is a guy that he has fought and has finished before. So I have no problem taking Anthony Smith here. Actually, I bet he gets the win. I don't know if it'll be a finish though, but I will take Anthony Smith in this one.
I've got Ryan Spann just by default because, like I said, and something about that last fight just really did not sit well with me. Like I understand that leg was chewed up, but it looked detached, or he looked detached at that point. I also probably lean decision for Ryan Spann to win here. Either way, however it comes, whoever wins this fight, I don't, like you said, I don't know that it has much of an impact at all on the company. I don't know if it has much of an impact at all, really, on if people are watching this card. Um, I think it's a weird fight and a weird slot to have put it in.
Yeah, I I agree with you on everything you said. Like it makes sense to me because it's like it's just two guys who are never going to reach the top that are just you're going for the fun fight. Both guys have a lot of finishing ability. I think that's what they're kind of banking on is that there will be a finish. I'd like for there to be a finish. I don't know if there will, but that's kind of the only rationale I can really come up with is that it's like two guys you're just putting together, a couple big boys, um, who have a lot of finishes on their record. That's all
Yeah,
I can think.
but usually even that sells better when you have some intrigue. I don't know if this fight has any intrigue. Um, and I don't even know if this is the weird. I know actually I do know it's not the weirdest fight on this card. The one that we're talking about, like of the fights that we're talking about, it's top two, but the main event is far and away. I mean, Max might actually like end the
Kill
Koreans.
him.
Yes, he
And I
might
know
actually put TKZ to a permanent end.
I know this was requested by the Korean Zombie to fight Max Holloway. So respect goes out to him. I'm pretty sure this is his retirement fight, right?
I mean, it'll probably force medically if it's not.
Well, oh damn. Well, well, I think this was supposed to be his retirement fight.
We picked the right guy. Let me tell you. Jesus, he's about to get fed to the wolves, man. I hate
Yeah,
enough for my dad to
I
watch this. Dude, you have unfulfilled so many requests by so many fighters. Unfulfill TKZ's request to fight Max Holloway. Give him, dude, call me up. I don't care. Just put somebody in the octagon that is not going to absolutely grind him into just loose bones and make me sad and feel like I'm at a funeral whenever I'm watching the UFC. That's all I want. But we're watching a funeral on Saturday.
yeah,
That's what it feels like.
I it really is a matter of will the Korean Zombie be able to make it through 25 minutes of that sort of punishment?
No, 15 tops. I
I don't know, man. I kind of think he does. I kind of think it's just like a 50-43 kind of situation where Max just beats the piss out of him. Because you think about his fight against Volkanovski, right?
yeah,
Like that fight got stopped, but he was still standing.
he was.
He never got knocked down in that fight. That fight was stopped with him standing up, still going somehow, living up to the name, of course.
Yeah.
And I think Zombie shows why he's got the nickname one more time. I'm gonna take Max by decision, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was if there were a couple 10-8 rounds sprinkled in there.
I would personally be shocked if there's not multiple 10-8s if this goes to a decision. I would
Yeah.
be flabbergasted. Like I would not know what to do with myself. I would call that a win for TKZ if he managed to not get 10-8'd more than twice.
Yeah, it's the moral victory. It's the fact that he went 25 with Max Holloway, probably got, probably getting transported to the hospital immediately after. Like,
Probably getting irreparable brain damage. He's going to be Antonio Brown out here before too long if they let him fight Max Holloway. Like, this is not the move. Do the Wonder Boy and fight guys who are in your range and that are only willing to fight your style. Problem solved. We don't have to watch this sad state of affairs. But I've got Max Holloway. I've got him by KO. Um, I just I am so disheartened. I honest to God might turn like because I won't be awake that early. I might not watch this fight. I might just figure out what the result is on Google and and I'll say as much on the podcast next week. I'll be like, I did not watch it. I did not have the heart to watch it. If it's somehow a decision or whatever, I'll go back and rewatch it. But if it is a nasty KO or something, I don't need to see that. That's not what I want to see from the Korean Zombie at all.
yeah, and it's not like this fight does anything for Max either.
No, dude, it's a
Like this does
sparring
nothing.
session.
Yeah.
It's like if Max live streamed a sparring session. He's not getting a title fight off this. There's not. I don't think there's a fight you could make in this weight class that he would get a title fight off of because of the state of
Because of
affairs that he is.
Volkanovski, yeah.
Right. Because of what's happening there. He should move up. But I don't want to see this. In case
Yeah.
you already
Max
know.
Max just gets a vacation and a paycheck. That's what he's doing this weekend.
Yeah, dude, he's just gonna be piecing them up, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Do you have anything else? Because this is making me sad.
Nah, I'm good for this week.
All right, cool. We'll be back next week for the recaps of this. I haven't even looked at the next card, Alex. Do you know if it's any good?
We have this one's in Paris, I think. Cyril Gane, Sergey Spivak,
Oh,
Manon, and Rose is the co-main. That's pretty good.
fun.
Rest of the card looking kind of but
Mm.
good
So
good
maybe,
main and co-main for sure.
yeah, so maybe we figure out a way to do a draft or
Main event.
yeah, because
I
like
would,
matchmaker's a good time, but like I would like to do another draft. I feel like I have way more fun with drafts, whereas matchmaker, but our new matchmaker format's also pretty damn fun.
yeah, and it's kind of a draft too.
Yeah. All right.
But,
We will have something else on top of the two fights that we'll be predicting for next
yeah.
episode.
Yep.
Yep. All right. I'll see you next time.
See ya.